Hey everybody, this is Rose. Welcome back to my channel, Cooking with Rose International Cuisine. Last week I started my Thanksgiving series, y'all, with my creamy southern baked mac and cheese. And I want to thank several viewers out there who actually tried my recipe this past week. They informed me through Facebook that it was a major success. To those of you who may not be familiar with the American Thanksgiving, this is a wonderful tradition celebrated on the last Thursday of every November to give thanks to what we have, and mainly for me is to appreciate our family and the love that we have for each other. Today I'm continuing with my Thanksgiving series with the homemade apple pie, a classic American dessert. Now, if you have always bought your apple pies from the store, give this a try and you will never go back to that. My late mother-in-law and late father-in-law used to live in a small town called Terre Haute, Indiana, and there was an apple tree in their backyard. I remember going there in my very much younger days, like 30 years ago, and Mom baked an apple pie from scratch using apples from her tree. So in light of our family tradition, I'm going to show y'all my recipe for apple pie, including an easy flaky crust recipe. I do have a couple of apple trees, y'all, but they're still small, so no fruits yet. So we are baking a delicious apple pie today with apples from the grocery store. So let's get started. This recipe is for a 9-inch pie pan. You need between 3 and 3/4 pounds of apples. The best apple pies are made with fresh apples that are firm, crisp, and better for baking, such as Granny Smith apples, which are tart, the green ones shown here, Honeycrisp apples, which are sweeter, the reddish ones shown here, and several others such as Fuji, Braeburns, and Golden Delicious. Firm, crisp apples will hold their shape better. Granny Smith apples are commonly used in pies due to the fact that the tartness combined with sugar and cinnamon make a delicious balanced flavor. Many people make apple pies with other apples or a combination of different apples. Today, I'm making my apple pie using 3 tart Granny Smith apples and 2 sweet Honeycrisp apples, a winning combination of flavors. So let's get started. For the filling, you also need 1/2 cup firmly packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup white sugar, 3 tablespoons flour, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, 1 stick unsalted butter, not 3. This shows the total butter needed for both filling and crust. 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and some egg for egg wash. For the top and bottom pie crust, you need 3 cups of flour leveled, not heaping, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 sticks unsalted butter, and between 8 to 10 tablespoons of ice cold water. Now let's make our pie. First, we make the top and bottom pie crust. Pour 3 cups of flour into a large bowl. Remember to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Then add 1 teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon sugar into the flour and mix everything together. Using a grater, grate 2 sticks of cold butter. You can also cut them into very small pieces. A grater helps speed the process, and super cold butter will give that buttery, flaky crust. Here's a tip. Place the butter in the freezer for only 15 to 20 minutes prior so they are very cold, not frozen. Then, using your fingers, gently mix the flour and butter into a crumbly form. This only takes a few seconds. Use your fingertips as much as possible. Don't overdo this as you want to keep the butter cold. Next, add your first 8 tablespoons of ice cold water, one at a time. Mix everything together and form a dough. Add more water if needed, but very sparingly. Remember, too much water will make the dough stiff, not flaky. On a clean surface or a baking mat buddy, divide the dough into 2, one slightly bigger. The bigger one is for the bottom crust. Quickly shape them into 2 discs, making sure one is bigger so you know which one is for the bottom crust. Then wrap the disc and let them chill in the refrigerator. In the meantime, start peeling your apples. Cut them into small bite pieces, remove the core, then transfer apples into a large bowl. Coat them with a mixture of 3 tablespoons flour, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg. We are now going to cook the apples slightly to release their delicious natural juices. Pre-cooking the apples will also reduce your baking time. Heat a large non-stick pan on low-medium heat and melt a stick of unsalted butter. It's important that you use a non-stick pan. Once butter is melted, reduce heat to low, stir in 1 teaspoon vanilla. Add in apples and mix well so apples are well coated with butter and vanilla. Add 2 tablespoons water, stir, cover, and cook on the lowest heat for 7 to 8 minutes. Uncover and stir a couple of times to check the apple consistency and also making sure spices are not sticking to the pan. When done, turn off the heat. The apple should be tender, juicy, yet still somewhat crunchy. That's what we want. Then transfer apples into a large bowl. Make sure you scrape all the sauce and the spices to the very last bit. Next, add brown and white sugar to hot apples and mix well so sugars melt and caramelize. Let apples cool off completely in the refrigerator. Hot filling will ruin the dough's flakiness. It's time to make the bottom pie crust. Remove and unwrap the larger dough from the refrigerator. Generously sprinkle your workstation with flour. Then with a rolling pin, roll out and flatten the dough into a round shape about 13 to 14 inches in diameter. If needed, work with the edges to help shape it better. The crust should be at least 2 inches wider than the top of the pan. Using the rolling pin, roll out the dough completely, then unroll it into the pan. Make sure the dough is centered, don't stretch it, gently press and tuck the inside and the top edges of the pan. Trim all excess dough and place it back in the refrigerator to chill. It's time to make the top crust. Remove and unwrap the smaller dough from the refrigerator. Generously sprinkle flour on your workstation, roll out the dough, this time into an oblong shape about 13 to 14 inches long, the middle about 11 inches wide. Using a cutter, cut the dough into 2. Then cut 7 approximately 3/4 inch strips on each side for a total of 14 strips. Don't worry if they are not perfect, mine was not. Then remove the pan with bottom crust from the refrigerator. Pour filling into the pan. Gently pat and smooth the filling and make sure apples or sauce are not smeared on the edges. It's time to make the beautiful lettuce crust. First, line up 7 or 8 strips one direction evenly spaced between each other. Then pull back every other strip halfway in the center and place a long strip in the center perpendicular to the first 7 or 8. Then fold the strips back. Pull back alternate strips and add another strip. Again, fold the strips back. Continue unfolding and folding, weaving the lettuce until it is all done. Next, cut excess dough around the pan and tuck the edges to seal the pie and filling. If desired, you can also crimp the edges after tucking it. Our beautiful pie is now ready for egg wash. Beat 1 egg and gently brush the lettuce with egg wash to give it that beautiful golden color. Then generously sprinkle some cinnamon sugar mixture for that perfect finish. This beautiful and delicious pie is now ready for the oven. Bake in preheated 400 degrees Fahrenheit between 35 to 40 minutes or until the filling sizzles through the lettuce and the crust is golden brown. Let it cool off for at least 2 hours before serving. I know it's hard to wait that long because I sure didn't. It's been 2 hours since I put the pie in the oven. Look at the results. Isn't this gorgeous? It took 40 minutes to bake this pie to perfection. And then I let it sit for about an hour and a half. It's still slightly warm, but I'm going to cut in and so you can see what it looks like inside. This is going to be delicious. Oh my, look at that. Homemade apple pie. Definitely going to dig in. Oh my goodness. Can you see that? The apples, the pastry, the crust. This is perfect. The apples are still slightly crunchy. The pastry is just to die for. And it has the perfect sweetness and a little tart to it. So I hope you guys try this. If you like my channel, please subscribe, send me comments, Peace, love, and I'll see you soon.